Divert Your Stress, an excerpt from A Guide for Aging Heroes by Randolph Harrison with Erica Schwarting Harrison. A crust eaten in peace is better than a banquet partaken in anxiety. Aesop. The human stress reaction comes from the fight or flight response, a hardwired survival trait that has kept us in the gene pool for thousands of years. Life was uncertain for primitive people living in nature. They had to deal with wild animals trying to eat them and aggressive neighbors trying to wipe them out. Those who responded to threats with violence, fight, or by running away, flight, survived to raise offspring. They passed on their genes. All animals have a fight or flight response. If a child tries to catch a squirrel, the squirrel will run away. Flight. If, by some miracle, the child could grab the squirrel before it ran away, it would undoubtedly bite the child. Fight. Erica and I had a wonderful trip to Africa a few years ago and went on a safari to the Ngorongoro crater. The experience was surreal. It was extraordinary to see exotic animals living freely in their natural habitats. There were lions, flamingos, zebras, elephants, giraffes, wildebeests, baboons, and hippos. When we arrived, we could see a tribe of Maasai sitting around a campfire in the far distance. The Maasai are transhumance pastoralists, meaning they survive by herding cows and goats from place to place. They are famously courageous. I asked our guide if the Maasai feared lions and other predators. He answered, "The lions are afraid of the Maasai." When a predator, like a hungry lion, springs into action against a herd of grazing gazelles, the herd's fight or flight response kicks in and they run away. If the lion is lucky, it may catch one of the weaker members of the herd and have a meal. What do the other gazelles do immediately after the threat has passed? They go back to grazing. Imagine a similar situation, but instead of a herd of gazelles, it is a football team having practice. The lion again springs into action, chases the team, and eats one of the players. Do you think the surviving team members would go back to having practice? No. They would probably be in therapy for the rest of their lives. The fight or flight response is meant to operate as it does in the gazelle herd, not the football team. It is supposed to turn on when there is a threat and turn off when the danger has passed. Unfortunately, one side effect of having the most highly developed brain on the planet is that we respond to memories of threats and imaginary threats in the same way as we do to actual threats. We invent lots of imaginary threats. In modern life, most of us are rarely in situations where our lives are in true danger. So in the absence of lions and poisonous snakes, we stress over things that our ancestors would consider absurd. Our fight or flight response is triggered by bills, schoolwork, jobs, and relationship issues. The result for many modern people is a near constant state of stress. Like humans, baboon troops have a pecking order. At the top of the pecking order is the strongest, most aggressive baboon, and at the bottom is the weakest and most passive. There is a direct relationship between stress and relative health of baboons as one moves up and down the pecking order. The baboon at the top enjoys the best food, the first pick of sexual partners, and the most physical attention from others in the troop. The top baboon also has the lowest stress levels and the most robust health. As you move down the pecking order, stress increases and health decreases. Baboons at the bottom of the pecking order are likely to suffer from high blood pressure, arthritis, diabetes, and obesity. The same is true for humans. People at the top of the pecking order in their jobs likewise experience less stress. They report more joy and have the best health. People with jobs at the bottom of the pecking order tend to have higher levels of stress and poorer health. Low-end workers take far more sick leave than people working in upper management. If you are in a job at the lower end of the pecking order, one solution would be to find social outlets that allow you to be on the high end of a pecking order. You might organize a book club, volunteer to chair a committee, or run for the president of a local civics club. While the stress response is beneficial in nature, it can wreak havoc in modern life. Long-term stress can result in cardiovascular disease, obesity, alcoholism, asthma, accelerated aging, diabetes, Alzheimer's disease, digestive disorders, depression, anxiety, pain, and premature death. Understanding the long-term health risks of chronic stress can cause a lot of stress. Here's the caveat. Your mindset affects the way your body responds to stress. People who experience a lot of pressure but view stress as life-enhancing or positive have fantastic health outcomes. Their health is not only better than people who have a lot of stress and view it as debilitating, but also better than people who have low stress. This relates to optimism. Optimism overrides even the destructive health effects of chronic stress and transforms high stress into a health enhancer. So, your number one tool for combating the adverse effects of stress is optimism. What else can you do to manage stress? Here's a few strategies. Exercise. The fight or flight response prepares the body to fight or run. While fighting when you are stressed will likely land you in jail, running can decrease your stress and improve your cardiovascular fitness. If you don't like to run, any activity that gets your heart pumping will work. Breathe. If you take yoga, martial arts, or meditation class, you will find that they usually start with breath work. The fight or flight stress response is part of the autonomic nervous system, which controls your heart rate, blood pressure, breathing rate, digestion, and other bodily functions that take place automatically, hence the name autonomic. Most of these functions are beyond your control. If I asked you to slow down your heart rate, you would probably be unable to do that. However, you do have some control over your breath. Breath, heart rate, and blood pressure are all connected. So when you take slow, deep breaths, your heart rate and blood pressure naturally decrease. Take a deep breath. Hold it for a few seconds. Then release it in a slow sigh. You should feel more physically relaxed and less anxious immediately. Talk. Sharing your feelings with a trusted person is highly therapeutic and anxiety reducing. The effect is called catharsis and is one reason people feel better after a talk therapy session. Write. Have you ever been lying in bed with your mind reeling about something that upset you? You may have found that you replayed the upsetting event over and over. One easy strategy for letting the obsession go is to write down your thoughts. Writing out whatever you were ruminating over allows the mind to release it. It is almost like saving a document on your computer. Once it is saved, you don't have to worry about it anymore. You don't need to do anything with what you wrote. The act of writing it down is what does the trick. Listen. Music can be a fantastic tool for decreasing stress. You already know this intuitively. You have listened to slow music that relaxed you, and you have heard fast music that got your blood moving. There is a scientific reason for this. Different mental states produce different brain waves. Long, slow brain waves happen when you are calm and relaxed. Short, fast brain waves are generated when you are alert and excited. Music likewise produces waves, sound waves. Brain waves tend to synchronize with sound waves. Long, slow sound waves synchronize with your brain and create long, slow brain waves.